What's up, everybody? Oh, that was so fun. I just got off of a really fun and interesting conversation with one Paul Zigo, streaming at the Poltergeist. We had a lot of fun talking about tactics and national divorce versus Reconstruction 2. I feel like that's one of those debates that me and Paul are going to litigate and relitigate, but it's honestly, it's a pretty good topic for me to do a video about. If I should start releasing some of these video essays, it would be a good thing for me to kind of examine the argument from its different points of views. What's up, grr? Excuse me. There we go. Now we got the description in there. Hello, 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 everybody. What's up? I, as normal, included the news topics in our title, and I do want to talk about some of that stuff. Namely because the DNC autopsy features some glaring omissions that I think deserve to be noted and talked about by as many people on the left as possible, and because there's been a rash of attacks like targeted towards the president or like the White House and critical grounds around DC and stuff over the last month, and it's starting to seem a little bit, you know, starting to seem a little strange. Hello, Margot. Hello, hello. Margot, 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 Margot. Welcome to the show. 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 Morning from the UK. I guess it is morning over there, isn't it? It's only 2:16 over here somehow. I saw you were with Paul, and I tried to tune in, but I don't like new people. Aw. I'm sorry, Taylor. Well, we did have a lot of fun over there. I'll tell you that much. So any of you guys get a chance, want to watch some more content featuring me, go check out at the Poltergeist here on YouTube. We just had a lovely conversation for the last, I don't know, hour and 10 minutes or so. Definitely check that out. I wear a lanyard. Why are you yelling about it? You look like Trump? Do I? I really don't think I do. Trump's got the, like, nunt, you know? He's got the, like, neck pussy. And you will see that my neck, while I do have a double chin, it's nice and full. Nice and round. No neck pussy here. You'll also notice that my hair is brown, not blonde, and that it is not a hairpiece. So I really don't know that I look like Trump. But good bait. We're gonna wait for things to get a little bit more populated, and then we'll hit the idiot button. But for now, let's do the thing. Uh, I look like your overweight uncle? Damn, your overweight uncle sounds hot. Can I get his number? Grandma, why are you on YouTube? Well, grandson, that's because I needed a little bit more to do in my free time. And YouTube is free for anybody, so I figured why not try it out? And as it turns out, it supplements the old retirement payments quite well. People like my old ass, it turns out. So, the main thing I want to talk about with you guys tonight, if you're willing, is how fucking bad the Democratic Party is failing right now to maintain some kind of national cohesion and to understand the mistakes that they keep making. So what I've done is I've had Gemini Flash give me a summary of the DNC 2024 election autopsy report. I asked it to tell me what is there, as well as what is conspicuous in its absence. And we're going to go over it. What do you identify as? I'm a they, them. I use she, her pronouns, if that's what you're asking. Gooner, stop spamming. Do I need to turn on idiot mode? I tell you what, those of you who enjoy watching, hit that like button. If we get up to 20 likes, I'll turn on idiot mode. Idiot mode, idiot mode. Actually, you know what I've been thinking about doing? I've been thinking about just turning it on to members only chat. Yeah, idiot mode. What if I just turned it on to members only chat? I can do that, you know. 200 people watching, 10 likes. We're up to 17 now. I want to refresh again. DNC should drop DSA. They are the fifth columnist of the party. I don't agree at all. I think that the DNC is totally failing. I think that they completely failed to capture any kind of meaningful electorate because they tried going for the wrong types of people, as in terms of like people who like will vote for them. Like I just don't think that like the people that they tried to go for are not going to vote for a Democratic Party that resembles the DNC of 2024. So it was like a failed endeavor there, and they didn't capture leftist support by like denouncing Israel's actions against the Palestinians or by firmly centering themselves as an anti-war party. Alrighty, let's go ahead and turn on idiot mode, just a basic fucking subscriber mode. Yeah, you can be any duration of subscriber. You just have to hit the button and you can continue chatting. But it's starting to get a little spammy in here, you know? Starting to get a little spammy. So let's go over this. Once again, I had Gemini Flash kind of give me a rundown of this report. I'm going to read down the rundown and then we are going to talk about it. And if it presents anything that I know to be misleading or false, I'll call it out. But I think it should be generally okay. The DNC's 2024 election autopsy, a 192 page report authored by Democratic consultant Paul Rivera and released in May 2026, presents a scathing internal critique of. One second. Anyway, um, it presents a scathing internal critique of the party's failure to adapt to a changing electorate. The report suggests that while the party's policies remained popular, the campaign lost the argument on the economy and disconnected from working class and rural voters. So right away, I think that we've already got a sign of disconnect coming from within, like the DNC itself. This idea that they are like disconnected from working class and rural voters, yeah, you're the Democratic Party. That's kind of how the election works. Yes, you sure are. But the idea that that's something new is retarded. Mm, It's been pretty much 30 years of people in rural areas usually voting Republican and people in less rural areas typically voting Democrat. So the idea that this is something new or that it's something that needs to be focused on heavily to the exclusion of considering policy prescriptives that might have gotten in them in worse trouble is abhorrent to me. It just makes no sense. The report suggests that while the party's policies remain popular, oh yeah, I read that one already. Key findings. What's in the report? The autopsy focuses heavily on strategic miscalculations and a lack of preparation by the party apparatus. That's from The Guardian. The identity politics trap. So the report argues that the party leaned too heavily on identity-based messaging, which alienated many working class and male voters, including men of color. It specifically cited Republican ads regarding taxpayer-funded gender-affirming surgeries for inmates as very effective and claimed Harris was boxed in with no viable response. That's just so fucking stupid. Okay, so first of all, they had plenty of viable responses. There are tons of experts that are like capable of talking to people and capable of getting media training and going on CNN and going on these podcasts and talking about the science behind trans people. And I guarantee you some of these people could have worked with the Democratic candidates to make something better. But it's like up to the DNC to reach out to these people to build a framework that pulls them in and that makes this advocacy possible. And they didn't do that. So yeah, they had no viable alternative and they had no viable answer because they didn't choose to pursue one. They didn't choose to open themselves up to that. And not only that, but they allowed the fucking Republicans to dominate the narrative on that by refusing to present enough alternative options on other policy areas for people to bite the bullet on the woke stuff and just accept like a DNC win because, well, they are this way and that way on the economy and Gaza and the war and stuff like that, but they didn't choose to take those positions, now did they? Instead, they're hyper-focusing on the idea that the Republicans implanted in the minds of so many fucking stupid-ass people in America that identity politics are something people really need to be angry about and irritated about. Why are we letting them control that narrative? Like, why is the DNC autopsy report acquiescing to that narrative? Why anyone would actually want to be a woman is beyond me. I don't know, man. That sounds pretty misogynistic where I come from. Because women are pretty, Curtis. That is true. We are pretty. So, next item on the thing is the rural collapse. Analysts concluded that Harris essentially wrote off rural America, wrongly assuming that high margins in urban suburban centers could offset deep losses in rural counties. I do kind of agree with this, but I also think that they're putting a bit too much emphasis on it when I think ultimately a lot of rural voters could be reached by a party that was actually willing to adopt some of their policies. I mean, there have been there's been widespread agreement across lots of different areas, like regardless of demographics and population size and density and all that, there's been widespread agreement on a lot of these baseline policy issues that the Democrats just refuse to take a firm stance on. Universal health care being the one that comes first to mind, and in my eyes, it's something that would transform this country, improve so many people's lives, and yet the DNC seems completely unwilling to take that up as a primary issue. That would bring over tons of rural voters who would be able to see in the DNC and in the election of these Democrats and shit, and in the election of progressive politicians, they would be able to see a future where their rural hospital is no longer under like danger of any. It's no longer in danger of closing because now it's funded with like tax money. It's funded by either tax money collected municipally and state level or by the federal government, which at this point pretty much just makes money as it needs to spend and continues to finance that on the fact that we're just the sovereign currency that the world has adopted. That can only hold on for so long, but right now it's the way things are, and we've got to accept that and try to find policy solutions that will improve people's lives. So, like, come on now. Ideas like this could be winning people elections. Anyway, so we've got a strategy of scarcity. Scarcity. Despite raising over $2 billion, the report notes that only $150 million was spent on direct voter contact. This outdated strategy prioritized expensive TV media over the ground game and personal engagement. Exactly. Yeah, so Kamala Harris, while Donald Trump was doing all of these like on the ground debates, and not just Trump, but he had like you've got like Turning Point USA doing all these big debate events at colleges and stuff like that. You've got the Daily Wire doing its own little debate events and different people on there going out to the college circuit and stuff. Then obviously you've got the Trump rallies and just like the general MAGA presence. There was so much in-person ground game coming from the right, whereas the Democrats pretty much relied on TV ads, big celebrity appearances, hanging out with like rappers and shit. They basically took the like Hillary Clinton 2016 game and ran with it again, expecting that to generate a win for them, and it didn't. It failed miserably. I can't disagree with that aspect of the report. I think that that's pretty spot on. Um, so, lack of negative firepower. The report criticizes the decision not to hit Donald Trump harder on his felony convictions or frame him as disqualified for office, assuming voters had already baked in his negatives. Yeah, I mean, I don't even think it's that. I think that there was lots of focus on the negatives. I think there were lots of people pointing out that Donald Trump was a fascist. The problem was inconsistency when it came to the party apparatus and when it came to Kamala Harris herself and Joe Biden before. Like their unwillingness to stay consistent on that messaging. You know, like they would call him a fascist and then go shake his hand on the debate stage. That doesn't make any sense. That like just flatly doesn't make any sense. If you're gonna call the dude a fascist and then debate him, okay, but don't shake his hand. Make it clear that you see him as like an enemy of the state that needs to be opposed. Inconsistent messaging in that regard, I think, is way more responsible than no messaging in that regard, because there was plenty of messaging to that effect. Anyway, let's see here. Institutional failure. Most damningly, the report reveals that the White House did not um, position or prepare Harris for a presidential run. When she became the nominee, her team discovered there was virtually no self-research available to guide her messaging or defend against attacks. That is fucking insane. That is genuinely bizarre. Yeah, I mean, it's damning as fuck. The fucking most damning thing about it all is that Joe Biden specifically said he was to be a bridge to a time away from Trumpism. He was like, elect me, Jack, and I'll retire at the end of my term. Not the campaign, at the end of my term, and I'll retire, Jack. And you can put somebody else in there, and we'll be away from Trump. That was his whole strategy. But then it gets there, the time draws near, and he doesn't do that. Instead, he tries and runs for a second fucking term. His old ass. And when it finally gets revealed on the national stage that he ain't cut out for it anymore, that the old man just can't do it. All right, everybody, I'm dropping out, and Kamala Harris is going to take over now. And she was not prepared. That whole time. Apparently that just wasn't one of the contingencies for which they prepared. Good impression, by the way. Thank you. I appreciate it. So, the silent sections. What is conspicuous in its absence? Critics and political analysts have pointed out several glaring omissions that make the report feel incomplete or intentionally protective of certain party segments. So, the Gaza omission, I should say, despite the uncommitted movement and post-election polling showing that the conflict in Gaza was a primary concern for young and Arab American voters who stayed home, the words Gaza and Israel do not appear in the nearly 200-page document. So 200 pages worth of self-critique for the 2024 election cycle, and nowhere does it even consider the effect that Israel's genocide and our complicity in it might have had. The Biden factor. The report sidesteps the impact of President Biden's decision to stay in the race until July 24. It treats Harris's anointment as an external event rather than a consequence of the party's handling of Biden's age and cognitive concerns. The Rogan gap. While the report discusses the failure to reach young men, it completely ignores the campaign's decision to decline high-profile alternative media appearances, most notably on the Joe Rogan Experience. Yeah, basically they Joe Rogan invited Kamala Harris on his show. If you didn't know, fucking Rogan invited Kamala Harris on the show, and basically the Harris campaign said, I mean, we'll do it, but you gotta fly out here. And basically they wanted to do like a 10-minute little interview spot or something. They didn't want to do like an actual episode of Joe Rogan, because then Kamala Harris might have to defend herself, might have to hold her positions to account or something. Like, she was just an unqualified, unprepared candidate. I don't know how else to put it. What else do we have here? The candidate's identity. While the report analyzes demographic shifts in detail, it fails to examine how Harris's own race and gender influenced media coverage or voter perception, treating her identity as a static variable rather than a dynamic part of the campaign's challenges. Yeah, so that's not saying, by the way, that Kamala Harris can't make it because she's a mixed race woman. It's just saying that the fact that she's a mixed race woman should play into your strategy. Like, it has to. You're in America. I'm sorry, it just does. Like, it has to play into your strategy. It's got to be part of the fucking thing. You have to account for it. You have to think about it when you're making your advertisement, when you're playing your ground game. Here's the note on credibility. The release was so contentious that DNC Chair Ken Martin included disclaimers and red ink annotations throughout the text, claiming some sections lacked sourcing or evidence. Oh no. Yeah, so the reason why I bring this up, guys, and the reason why I wanted to talk about this today is because I think the Democratic Party is in free fall. I think it's in collapse. And I think that 2028 might be the last big national showing the Democratic Party has before they finally just kind of collapse into the ocean, basically. I think that they're going to be replaced on the left by an actual progressive party, and those of them that are like just basically center right moderates, the likes of like Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, I think they're just going to go over to the Republican Party, start a new center right wing over there. The third way people are about to find out that the third way is just being Republicans. Fingers crossed. I'm pretty sure that report makes me think more than anything we've seen that I'm right about this shit. I've been talking about this particular prediction for a while, but this autopsy report makes me as certain as I could ever be that the DNC does not know what's going on. Not really. That there's widespread contention and blinders within the Democratic Party. And I'm not talking about just the report, I'm talking about the response to the report. Like the way Ken Martin and other people within the DNC are choosing to react to some elements of it, the way that there's like unified kind of agreement on the part of so many people that are like dyed in the wool Dems, that Israel's just not to be mentioned or brought up. I feel like it all points towards this one direction, that is Israel losing, or not, like Israel losing, the DNC losing its grip over like the left and the center left and the average American electorate. I feel like they are not going to be able to do that much anymore. I think they might be able to squeak out a victory in 2028, but I just feel like there's going to be such widespread contention and disagreement from within the party that people are going to end up going in two different directions. Phoebe, are you Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2? No. Uncanny resemblance, I admit, but no. What are we talking about? The collapsing death of the DNC and my hope that it will be replaced on the left by an actual progressive party that's interested in building something meaningful that helps working class people and builds a better world for Americans, and maybe even our international partners in the countries we've been fucking over. Maybe we could start to help them instead. You know, it's nice to think about. And with the way things are going, I really don't feel like infiltration is like an option. I just feel like so much of the party needs infiltrated and changed that would require like a mass movement that would have to be concerted over like 6 years. And I feel like we would be better able to get like 8% to show up for like 6 months than we would be able to get like 60% to show out for 6 years. That just seems incredibly improbable to me. And that's the kind of thing you would need if you actually wanted to purge the DNC of all the rot. Which means I think that it's just gonna kind of fucking collapse as leftists and progressives continually align more with these third parties and with these alternative political frameworks and ideologies. I just don't think it can sustain itself much longer. It is advancing an ideology that has shown itself to be flawed, dying. Ew, weirdo, just sub to say this, unsubbing now, lol. You still gave me a sub. All those numbers count, bitch. Every single one of them. Hey you, play Nutshell. Who are you? Why are you demanding Nutshell? Why is that song called Nutshell anyway? I don't like Trump, but thank God Kamala didn't win. You think she'd be doing any worse? I don't see how. She'd probably be doing pretty much the same shit with Iran. She probably would have planned it a little better and would have been more effective in the doing. And I think that might have been worse in the long term, but I don't know, man. Like, in terms of domestic policy, I don't think she would be rounding up brown people into empty warehouses across the United States. Like, at the same level, at least. Like, she would still be doing that. Every fucking president pretty much has for the last 20 years, but I don't think she'd be doing nearly as much of it. I don't think she'd be, like, using ICE as, like, a Gestapo army against blue cities. Tell you that much. Hello, madam. Hello. Greetings. By the way, if you're enjoying the show, please consider donating and supporting. You can do that either via Super Chat or Cash App. You can find that down below. Either way, I appreciate it a ton. My requests will never be answered. What is your request, Posey? What is your request? Request. 1 bear or 100 badgers? I don't know. 1 bear, I guess. Are you Mellow Mike's friend? Mellow Mike? Huh? All the bitch wants to do is have a serious conversation, and motherfuckers are asking me about badgers. Indica sativa? Yes, please. It's too many badgers. I can get away from the bear, probably. Well, that's what I'm thinking. 2, like, if you can land a pretty good kick on the bear's nose, that might discourage it enough to just run away right then. Like, yeah, you might leave the bear with a pretty bad energy, but, you know, it's coming after you. Bear shouldn't come after you. There's a lot of people disgusted and dissatisfied with the radicalization by both parties. 2028 would be optimal for the rise of third party. Well, I agree that conditions are right for the formation of a third party, but I think it's actually for the opposite reason. I think it's that people are dissatisfied with the stagnancy of the Democratic Party. Like, I think that there's a lot of people that are dissatisfied with the stagnancy of the Democratic Party, and I think that there's a lot of people who are also dissatisfied with the seeming stagnancy of the Republicans. And I bet within that critical mass of people, there's enough people to form an actual powerful third party that would supplant the Democrats. I do not see how any third party that would form would not end up being effectively a replacement for the Dems, because the Republicans still have more than enough people to make up a concerted wing on their side. There is this dissatisfaction among people who have typically voted that way and stuff. Um, and I think in that case, it is a response to radicalization. But I think that they can kind of preserve that energy, whereas any like third party that forms in response to the center right and far right tendencies of the 2 present parties would kind of have to, by definition, be a progressive party of sorts. No third party never gets through more than 3% of the vote. Yeah, well, if everybody who is eligible to vote but doesn't was united in voting for a third party, and you could scalp 10% of the other 2, there you go. You got your third party. They win. They sweep, in fact. It won't happen. They would just rig it. Sorry, guys, can't do nothing. Can't do nothing. Just gotta keep doing what Grandma did. Sorry, I don't buy that. I think we do have options, and I think one of those options is voting third party. I think another one of those options is uniting as a country, or uniting as a people, enough of us in Washington, D.C. and Wall Street fighting for an end to the tyranny of the billionaires. I think we could actually get a bunch of fucking meaningful policy change achieved. Grandma fought for labor rights. True. Really, you're advocating for what your parents did. Grandma got ran over by a reindeer. Man, that incense smells so good. My grandma thought music was sin. Results not typical. Man. People really do believe some goofy shit, don't they? When you really get to thinking about it. Wetin be the relationship between you and those? Wetin be the really what? What? Thank you for the $2. I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. Oh, yeah, no, that incense smells so good. It really does. It really, really does. It really do. It really, really do. Here's for toothpaste. Oh, thank you for that $2. I appreciate it. Unfortunately, that's not quite enough, because after YouTube takes its cut and I pay taxes on it, it's like $1.50, or no, it's like 75 cents because he sent $2. So it's more like, I don't know, like $1.05 maybe. But you send 5 more of those, maybe we're talking. There's been pretty vocal desire by MAGA and progressives to purge the old guard from their respective parties over the next couple of years going into 2028. It'll be interesting unfolding. Well, that I do agree with 100%. Good, bad, right, or wrong, there's been a concerted desire by people of both parties to, like, buck the typical systems of determining who gets to hold what power and when, and a desire to get some people who will actually try to be effective in there. And I do want to see how that turns out. I just don't know if it's actually going to lead to that much of a shakeup, at least on the Republican side. Because it seems to me like there's got to be at least one party in America that's advancing the pro-business position. Not because I want there to be, or because I think there has to be one morally, but it just seems like America is such a pro-business country and so, like, fucking anti-worker typically, that it would be difficult for me to conceive of an American political landscape without the Republican Party or an equivalent thereof. You know, what's the star sign? That thing? It's just a spirit board. Hey! Quit! Wonder why a cult is into circles and sundials always? I don't know, they just look cool. It's probably all there is to it. Epstein was into that stuff too? Well, believe it or not, I too would like to have a Caribbean island that was all my own, with like servants and stuff. But I feel like there's probably lots of things that we could point out that are easy to see the allure of, while we still call out the reprehensible things Epstein was getting up to. You know? Like, Epstein breathed air. Holy shit. Did I just catch you breathing air? Holy shit. Did you know that Epstein really liked steak dinners? Epstein ate food! What the fuck? I know, right? That's literally like the attitude of some of these people, or that's what it comes off like to me. What's going on? Speaking of Epstein, sucks that Thomas Massey was ousted. There goes one of the only Republicans willing to hold Republicans accountable. I know. But it also goes to show you what a lot of people have been saying about the Republican Party is true. And there have been people calling out the fact that Republicans are just lapdogs for Trump at this point. Uh, well, I don't know, man. It's been a while. People been doing it for a hot minute, and it hasn't really made much of a difference because it hasn't been followed up with electoral results. But now there is a specific example that anybody making that point can point directly to. Thomas Massey stood up to Trump in some critical ways, not even in that many ways. Thomas Massey voted with Trump like I don't know, like 80% of the time. He was just willing to hold Republicans and Trump accountable in situations that most other Republicans were unwilling to. And, well, the fact of it is, um, Trump basically mobilized his army of MAGA morons against Thomas Massey, put a massive amount of money and encouraged a massive amount of money to be put behind this, like, out of nowhere, nobody never heard of him fucking candidate. And that motherfucker managed to oust Thomas Massey, who was pretty widely popular. Meaning that what me and other lefties have been saying about Trump running the party is indeed true. It's no longer the Republican Party, it's now the party of Trump, and what he says goes. I think I heard Thomas Massey wasn't willing to bow down to Israel and going to war for Israel, giving them all our money. We love Israel so goddamn much. Unfortunately, yeah. I don't know much about Thomas Massey's relationship to Zionism, but it would not surprise me if he was. In fact, I think he was opposed to this Iran war. I'm pretty sure he fucking was. Let me see here. I'm pretty fucking sure. He's been a vocal Republican critic of U.S. military involvement in Iran. Yes, arguing against the conflict on constitutional, financial, and foreign policy grounds. Yeah, okay, yeah, I was right. I was thinking he was the co-sponsor of a resolution between him and Ro Khanna, and that makes sense. So yeah, like he's been like a vocal opponent of this war effort. He's obviously not all about giving endless amounts of cash to Israel, and that's of course going to be a problem for anybody that's going to be in mainstream politics. Keep in mind that same kind of mindset, that same philosophy is being pushed back against by the Democrats as well. It's not just the Republicans that are trying to rid their party of any kind of anti-Zionist tendencies. Thank you for giving me nothing shit to fall asleep to. Hey, I appreciate that, Zion98. Thank you for the for the $2. I appreciate it. And if you would like to donate to this channel's continued success and manufacture, please consider donating either via Super Chat or Cash App. You can find that down below. Oh, the outfit is cute today. Thank you. I appreciate that. Isn't it though? Black shorts, black top, black lace. Black shorts, black top, black lace, Billie Eilish. Oh. That's not what they say in the song, but it almost sounds like it, kinda. Oh, I have a cigarette here. Dude! I have a cigarette. Ooh. And there's a lighter. Hell yeah. You're so me. I'm so happy. I didn't think I had any more TaylorMades. I thought it was just down to bag tobacco. Don't you fucking damn it. Sorry. You all want a cigarette so bad right now? I think I'm gonna have to quit after I get done with the vape that I've got and this last, cigarette and stuff. I'm gonna have to quit tobacco here soon. I know it. I know it has to happen. But you know what? While I'm tapering down and going away from the process, I shall cherish these last few moments I have with it, however many long they may be. That's real, I know, right? That's a bro. Huh? What now? I managed to cut back completely out of, but my vape intake is gone. Well, that's not really cutting tobacco out. That's just like cutting. I mean, yeah, I guess you're cutting tobacco out, but you're still doing nicotine. Come on, smoke a cigarette. God. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's a joke. Okay. You got to enjoy stuff in life. If there is any pervasive message to my output, let it be that you got to enjoy stuff in life sometimes. Lots of things suck. That is true. But they're never going to get better unless you see a reason for them to get better. And you're never going to see a reason for them to get better unless you enjoy some things about life. So get out there and have you a toke or a drink or a fucking fun experience where you hike through the mountains or walk through the downtown city streets looking at the pretty lights. Do some stuff. Enjoy life. Remember why there's a point to all this. Play that guitar? Maybe. $20 a mo on Cash App and I'll play some guitar. I can't have you doing this right now. I fucking can't have you doing this right now. You are just fucking insistent on being all up in my goddamn business. I will be back with you guys in 1 second. I promise. That Chinese weed they've been spraying with Microsoft nanochips. What the fuck are you on, bro? Man, how much meth you gotta toot in one day to start thinking shit like that? Voice training is hard, pussies. Not only that, but like, why the compulsion to voice train? That's the thing I don't get. I don't know, like cis ladies that have deep voices aren't expected to voice train into higher ones. Man, I think Tyler C might be going through it. Bro, if you're smoking 30% dispo weed in Arizona and you're not getting stoned, have you considered that you might just smoke too much fucking weed to get stoned anymore? Tyler has a tolerance that could touch the sky. That's kind of what I'm thinking. If you're smoking like 30%, like if you're smoking 30% potency cannabis in Arizona and you're genuinely not getting stoned, I don't know, man. Maybe consider that you might like just need a tolerance break. Okay. But no, girl, your lap popped out of nowhere, and I really do love the energy. You've earned my respect. All right then. Thank you. Oh, well, fuck, man. Don't be fucking behind me, and that won't happen. She loves you, Phoebes. I know, and I love her. I just, like, you know, that's why I react with such passion when she puts herself in danger. And, like, right then, it's not like you've got a bunch of nerve endings on your ass and your back. So, I didn't even feel her back there. So, I guess I'm just gonna have to start making a habit of feeling back there before I lean back. Yeah, see? She's right there. Dang it. You do have a lot of nerves on your back? Well, I apparently don't have enough to feel the kitten sitting behind me. But that's okay. As soon as she made a noise, I moved her. Everything's fine. It's taking me forever to pack this bitch. Bro, what you... Um... What in the fuck's going on in chat? Roll a fatty J for me, dog. I'm trying my best. It's just taking a while. Nanbot, what's up? Alrighty, before I smoke this J with you guys, I'm gonna run and use the bathroom. The bathroom. Oh, I'll rejoin you guys in a second. As I was walking that big road highway, I saw a sign that said private property, but on the other, it didn't say anything. That side was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. Do 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 do. Alrighty, I found it. I found the original lyrics. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island. From the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I went walking, I saw a sign there, and on the sign it said, no trespassing. But on the other side, it didn't say nothing. That side was made for you and me. In the squares of the city, in the shadow of the steeple, by the relief office, I seen my people. As they stood there hungry, I stood there asking, is this land made for you and me? Nobody living can, nobody living can ever stop. Nobody living can ever stop me. I really don't understand how he managed to fit that many syllables into that line. Nobody can stop me. Nobody living can ever stop me. As I go walking that freedom highway, nobody living can ever make me turn back. This land was made for you and me. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Anyway, let's smoke. I wonder if you could splice part of an X chromosome onto the bottom of a Y chromosome. No, that's probably how you get up mutant uprisings. Probably a bad idea. Yeah. I don't think that that would be something. Like, we don't need to even fucking. Like, why? Why do we even need to bother with that? Like, I think we could probably figure out sex organ transplantation before we could figure that out. What I want to know is how I keep rolling these. So, like, why? What am I doing wrong? I think I'm supposed to be packing these a lot looser than I actually am. It's the only thing I can think of. Is it a pre-rolled stuff it in thing? Well, no, it's one of, well, kind of, yeah, it's a cone. It's a cone that I had to stuff myself, yeah. Yeah, that probably it. If it canoes, it's too tight or wasn't lit properly. Yeah, and it was definitely lit properly as far as I know. Well, as far as I know, as far as I know how to light something. But yeah, I did loosen it a little bit, and now it seems to be smoking better. If it canoes, I love that there's a phrase for it. I just have to say that. I love that there is a phrase to describe the process. I do love that. I look like a homeless John Lennon. Oh, thank you. I don't know how to smoke. Okay, kid. Don't you have some homework to do? I specifically remember your mom giving you some homework to do. Man, you guys are not being very entertaining right now. God damn. What does it take to get this chat excited? Fuck. Talked about the DNC autopsy report, how much that sucked. That didn't get the people's hearts beating. We talked about all kinds of other bullshit, and that's kept a meaningful amount of people in here, but it's not going as hardcore as it normally does. Here, I'll just turn off idiot mode and we'll see what that does. Alright, mods, be prepared for the flood. Here we go. Stop looking at the camera like that, you're freaking me out. Careful, if you maintain eye contact with her, you'll should be this satanic gender hex on you. Yes, this is true. It's not often discussed as part of the features that we offer, but yes, I do have to admit it's on the table. Shred some guitar. I am thinking about picking the guitar up and maybe playing you guys something. It'd be nice if we could get some donos in here first, though. Just saying. Just saying. If you're a member in chat, speak up. I want to see how many we've got in right now. Right now I only see Dan, but if we've got more. Got a feeling that clean my house urge is 320. Well, I mean, if everybody else in the household is awake, then you can, and it's fine. It doesn't matter, it's 320. Now, if everybody else is asleep, then it kind of sucks. Then there's only so much you can do. Are you from California? No. They not? Well, then there's not much you can do besides just like dusting, maybe. Cleaning up trash a little bit. Do you know grab on? No. As an awful procrastinator, the best time to clean is as soon as you feel like you might. Yeah, that is true. I'm kind of trying to reset my sleep schedule, and so I want to do an all-nighter tonight, and then stay up all day tomorrow, and then go to bed at a reasonable hour tomorrow night. But that's going to involve either making a ton of content or finding a ton of busy work to keep my mind occupied over the next, like, 14 hours. I will say, one of the things we've been doing is that I'm living on basically my childhood property, like the property I grew up on as a kid. Of my 7 siblings, excluding me, I'm the only one who like has any interest in taking the farm on to the next generation. Basically, the farm out. It's not really what you'd call a farm in modern parlance, but we've been rehabilitating the land after 10 years of my parents being divorced and then them getting back together within the last couple of years. And we've started to make some like really big steps in our progress, and we've started to see some really big improvements. But one of the things that I've got to do to keep that progress moving forward and rolling, all the time towards that direction is cut up the saplings and the small trees that I've been cutting down out of the lower pasture into smaller and smaller chunks. I could easily fill up a big chunk of my day doing that tomorrow. You gotta work the sleep schedule into your system. Even if you do it right one night, your body will still be late to the party. It takes like a week or two to really settle into something different. Well, sure. But like it's got to start someday, right? It's got to start sometime. If I just let it go as it is and I don't try to move it up, then I don't know, man. Love you, bro. Thanks. There's something seriously wrong with you? Okay, you say so. 3:40 a.m. dollars. Thank you, Danbot. You're the best. I appreciate it a ton. Thank you. Thank you so much for the $20. Thank you, thank you, thank you. $20. Guys, I cannot wait for this trip I've got coming up. Dude, I'm gonna finally be able to get my life back on track fully. I mean, it's pretty much been back on track for a while, but like, there's a few loose ends I need to tie up from way back when. Aw, gifted memberships from Danbots. Thank you. I appreciate that a ton. That's awesome. But yeah, there's a few loose ends from when I was like 18, it's like 10 years ago almost. That once I get those tied up and done away with and squared away, I will be so much better off. Yay, Nanbot. I know, right? Thank you, thank you, thank you. The preacher came and gone. He knows I'm gonna stay. California dreaming. All the leaves are brown and the skies are gray. I went for a walk on Wednesday. I'd be safe at home. I'd be safe at home if I wasn't LA. California dreaming. I'm such a weirdest day. I'm not going to California, by the way. I'm going to Missouri, but that song is stuck in my head. Mount Wanahawkology, what? What's going on? Hello again, I've returned. What's up, Margot? Stop smoking? Never. It's a good idea for you to stop smoking, but I'm not going to stop it because you told me in my chat. I do plan on quitting eventually, but when I quit, I will tell you at my leisure, or you'll figure it out. When I was a child, my family would travel on down the Green River where my parents were born. Well, there's a somber old place that's often remembered. So often remember, my memories are worn. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River where paradise lay? Well, I'm sorry, my child, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train is hauled it away. Well, the coal company came with the world's largest shovel. They tortured the timber, strip mined the land. And they took all she had till the land was forsaken, and they wrote it all up as the progress of man. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River where paradise lay? Well, I'm sorry, my child, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train has hauled it away. I think these floor spit obsessed people are upset Phoebe isn't spitting on them. Oh, that's 100% what it is. It's kink. I'm spitting into a trash can. They're worried about my floor, even though it's an unfinished floor in a fucking outbuilding. By the way, I do have some firm studio upgrades coming here, maybe within the next year. I'm gonna really try moving on them as long as I keep making good money off the channel and affording to do so. And I'm gonna try and make a little. There's an outbuilding that's even smaller than this one, but the difference is it's already got power to it. Number one, like regular ass power to it, so that's cool. It doesn't have to be like wired and set up. I don't have to rely on a fucking extension cord, so that's nice. Um, there's also the fact that it's a little bit closer to at least one corner of the house, which means that it'll be a lot easier for me to run, like, I don't know, like an aerially suspended Cat 6 cable or something, which I think I probably will end up doing. Just string in a steel cable between two firm posts on either corner of each structure, and then winding a Cat 6 cable around that so that I can get actual fucking fast internet out there. But the point is, I've got an upgrade path now that will get me out of this spot and into one where I will have even more options for how I film and how I shoot, and hopefully it'll be a cooler experience for you guys. Don't tell Nanbot to shut up. Nanbot's cool. Nanbot's a member. You're nobody gonna tell Nanbot to shut up. Nanbot's a public servant on top of it all. Nanbot's a bus driver. You shut your bitch ass up about Nanbot. Tizzy and Izzy, what's up, Riley? Technically, I'm a corporate wage slave whose employer has a contract to provide public services. Yeah, well, I still consider you a public servant. So, like, here's my thing about it, right? I don't think a cashier necessarily is a public servant. I do think they are engaging in a form of service with the public, but I feel like what is implied with public servant is that it's like a job with which society can be better and without which society is worse. Or maybe a job that is ostensibly supposed to be about supporting the needs and necessities, I guess that's the same thing, of the public. But it's kind of a difficult and nebulous thing to define, for sure. Some of the premises on which the definition centers wouldn't include a lot of cops, and some definitions that would include cops would exclude a lot of people we would definitely consider public servants. Come back to bed, Tizzy? Ooh, shit, Riley. Don't give me too much credit. I wouldn't do it if it wasn't a great job, which is thanks to having a union. I'd be wearing piss bags and making half as much without it. Well, that's fair enough, but, like, I don't know. I'm not trying to give you a ton of credit. I like, man, fuck you guys, man. Bus drivers are so goddamn unpleasable. Okay? You don't give them any praise. They're like, what a thankless job this is. You tell them you're doing a great job, you're a fucking valued public servant. They're like, no, don't give me too much credit, man. It's like, Oh, well, fuck off, you whiny piss babies, then. I'm kidding, Nanbot. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I love you. I'm kidding. I swear to God. Serving is giving your time to somebody willingly to help. Slaving is having to do anything against the will of yourself to have to make anything that isn't meant for you in the first place. Interesting. Well, I mean, there definitely are people in positions of public service who want to be doing that type of job who also do it because they need the money, but who ostensibly might do a job like that even in a situation where they didn't need the money. My evidence for that is how many people still go into teaching despite what a low paying profession it is. It's because we're normal ass people. Some of us are shitbags and some of us aren't. Some of us can handle having a job and some of us wake up angry that they have to make good, easy money. Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, you're complex beings, all of you, with different ideas. You're not a monolith, okay? I get that. I get it. But at the same time, I'm just saying, okay? I'm glad there's folks out there that provide that service. Whether it's private or public, or whether it's fucking something they enjoy doing or something that kind of sucks that they have to do. I mean, I am glad that there are people doing it, which is one of the reasons why I advocate so hardcore for you guys to have better pay, better representation in your workplaces and through unions, like you were talking about. That's why I advocate for public servants of all different kinds to like stand in solidarity with like private sector unions that work on an industrial basis and stuff like that. And I think that we should, recognize those class distinctions and uplift the people who kind of, work in ways that directly benefit our society and our cohesion. But I guess you could make the argument that everybody does that to some degree. It's a difficult thing. You'll grant me that. I hope. And if you want to keep your house, they want more slavery out of youth and service. Well, yeah, no, I definitely agree with your analysis here. It's what we might call a pretty like Marxian analysis, but that's fine. And I would say that I operate under like a kind of post-Marxist ideology or framework or whatever. So I just don't know how useful that distinction is when what we're ultimately trying to say is that we need to like ultimately the point that I was driving home at first was just, I didn't want Tizzy to be talking shit on Nanbot because I just like the idea of people, like I imagine Nanbot gets enough shit doing the job they do because it's a job where you get shit, and I guess it just struck me. I don't know. Maybe is that weird of me? Is it weird of me to like value people? Like, okay, guys, like I've never been a public servant really. I guess I spent 6 months as a CO, but like I've spent most of my life as like a cashier or like a laundry attendant or some shit. But I don't know. I kind of feel like between cashier and bus driver, kind of feel like bus driver is more necessary because, in a world where there's lots of public transportation, how else is the cashier and the customers even getting to the store without the bus driver? I really do feel like a comprehensive Marxist analysis that is class conscious can include and account for the fact that there are some jobs that are even more powerful in their bargaining power and more necessary to the function of society than other jobs, just by the way things are set up. Transgenderism sounds metal as fuck when you put it like that. Yeah, it requires sacrificing body parts and fertility. Oh shit, dude. Yeah. Fuck yeah. Where do I sign up? Oh shit, I'm already signed up. Hell yeah. Nobody's allowed to be mean to Nanbot. Yeah, that was the main point that we were trying to drive home. More than anything. More than all this public service shit, the main point was just don't be mean to Nanbot, okay? That was what you should take home from the conversation. Bus drivers 100% needed more, but pre-planned routes oozes AI and automation replacement. Well, so does just standing in one place scanning fucking groceries, doesn't it? Bro, Joey, me and you, I think this might be another one of those things like healthcare that me and you pretty much agree on. Like, AI is coming for all of our jobs. All of our fucking jobs. Like, AI is already trying to come for my job. What I do for a living right now is under fire by AI presently. I compete against other fake ass channels on YouTube that make AI generated content with very little human input. Lamau, as if self driving cars will ever happen. Um, Verdi Dan, they've already happened. Do you live under a rock? They're not perfect yet, but like you can get in a Waymo and get around a city in one. They did fucking raid a cul-de-sac the other day, and that was pretty funny, but I don't think that means like the technology simply does not exist. I think that just means it's got a bunch of bugs and that the public is being treated like a guinea pig in the development of this nascent technology, which I do oppose. I think obviously like they need some more trial runs and they need to be testing this shit more in places with way less traffic density, et cetera, et cetera. But like to say that it ain't never gonna happen, Dirty Dan, we're watching it happen. It's fake snake oil? Dirty Dan, come on, man. How is it snake oil? How is it snake oil? How can it possibly be snake oil? I don't like the technology any more than you do, okay? Not in well, I mean, in theory, if it was like being introduced at a time where we were seeing humans also being like given more abilities to live without the yoke of consumerism and fucking corporatism and shit, then that would be great. Hey, less fucking menial work jobs that people have to do that they don't want to do. But under current conditions, I think it's pretty bad and need to, call for its regulation, et cetera, et cetera. But the technology exists. So let's just watch this news story and let's see if it tells us about it. We'll watch it together and we'll see if it says anything about it that's interesting. Okay. I mean, I gotta be honest with you, Dirty Dan. I feel like Thunderfoot has this basically same message to say about every new technology now. Like, when's the last time you heard Thunderfoot talk positively about any new technology? Never. Unless he's involved in the development of it. I'm not saying he's a fucking hack. I'm just saying, like, kind of seems like that's his message on most new technology. Let's just see what this news story has to say about it.
Expanding their reach. Waymos seem to be. So last night we were talking robots taking over Tesla's Fremont factory. Tonight it's robo taxis expanding their reach. Waymos seem to be everywhere these days, at least if you're in the right city. But there is one place that you couldn't get to until today if you're in a certain group. Waymos will now shuttle you off to SFO or get you close for now. Pickups and drop-offs will start at the airport's rental car center, but there are plans to expand those locations and expand who can access these rides. Our Andrea Nicano caught up with some riders who are excited about it, while others are worried if the autonomous cars are simply not ready for busy airports.
I would agree with that. This isn't really what I'm looking for. What I'm wondering is if they have any footage of someone riding around in these things. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. Perfect. This is in San Francisco, so decent density of traffic. Joey Fang is the $2. Check my previous chat why AI was a mistake. Oh shit. Neat. Okay, let's see here. Facts. Who knows if the chatbot VTuber is real? Yeah, who fucking knows? But yeah, let's see here. While I was driving to base during COVID, I was really confused and kind of stunned from an automatic driving Tesla while the dude was cranking it, legs up on the dash. Still blows my mind. Like jerking off. It was so jaw dropping. I still don't know if it was a fever dream. Yeah, dude. Yeah, it was a fucking mistake, dude. That's disgusting. Oh my god. Oh man. No, dude. No, man. What are we doing? Going to do the dishes and zone out my podcast because if we stay, I'll pause to type. Love y'all. Peace, Taylor. Holy shit. What an awful day to have eyes. Anyway. Anyway. I fucking found this video on YouTube since we're talking about the Waymo thing. Another reason AI might be a mistake. But we were talking about the Waymo thing, right? And I found a video taking a self-driving car Waymo in San Francisco 2026. So I'm going to play this video and we're going to see what it's like. We're going to see how it does. What's your pronouns? She, her, hers.
Only in 20 minutes, 28 minutes.
So let me see here. So it looked like oh, never mind. Okay. I just didn't see them getting in there. So I guess at some point the other people get in front.
Only in 20 minutes, 28 minutes.
We only have 28 minutes. George Floyd did not kill himself. Duh, he was fucking killed by a cop. Let's see here.
Yeah, it's you.
Yeah. Alright, so it gives you a seatbelt warning. Continues driving even though it's got a seatbelt warning, which is good. Because you wouldn't want it to just stop in the middle of the road and hold up traffic because somebody's not wearing their seatbelt. You'd want it to pull over if it's going to do something like that. Hey, thanks for capturing the fucking headrest, retard. Okay, it does seem to be staying within the lines and everything. I don't know if you guys can see that well. I don't know, man. It seems to be handling lane changes and stuff like that pretty well. The only solace I take with the self-driving shit is, as a bus driver, is that I don't think we'll be able to standardized mobility device accessibility, that and my passengers refuse to read a bus guide. Yeah, that those two things, like that is something I bring up about AI too, is that one of the big things that AI does, one of the big things that humans do in these jobs that AI is not particularly well suited to, and that people often forget about, is that your bus driver is like typically more than just someone who's sitting there piloting a bus from point A to point B. They're also kind of like a little, miniaturized travel guide basically, and they're like a public safety official to a certain degree. Not like they're entrusted with any public safety duties, but like they're kind of sort of like keeping an eye on people, and they can tell people to like not fight on their bus and let the authorities know if something like that happens or whatever. I don't know, man. It just seems like one of those things that AI is not particularly well suited to completely replace just yet. I like taxis for the ability to hear um, local spots and world views when I travel. Auto driver would annoy me. Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the reasons why I think that there's a lot of fucking industries and jobs where human beings will hold on for a long time. For example, I don't think that there will ever be a universal standard of AI waiters and people and workers or whatever. Like I don't think there will ever be a predominance of robot workers at resorts. You know what I mean? Holy shit, dude. Don't do not fucking spam in here, bitch. God damn it, bro. I hate that shit. Anyway, thank you for the $20 or the $10 Nambot. I appreciate that. Um, but yeah, so what was I saying? Yeah, so like a taxi driver is kind of like a local travel guide that can help you understand what might be in the area and know what to look forward to and what restaurants to go to, etc., etc. And when it comes to like resorts and stuff like that, I also think that there will be, a need for human beings in jobs like that for a long time, because there's just like something to be said about the feeling or experience of being waited on by a human being. And I don't think rich people are going to give that up merely so resorts can save a little money. I don't think it's appealing enough to them. You got to remember where the direction of this automation is going. They're trying to get it to replace pleb jobs. And most pleb jobs exist to service plebs. But there are some pleb jobs that exist to service rich people. And where those can be automated for sheer cost saving measures and shit like that, it will be. But where that conflicts with the necessity to maintain the class dynamic, I think that those jobs will remain. In other words, I don't think we're very far from a world where your local Mexican restaurant might completely rely on robot waiters. But I don't think you'll ever be able to go to a resort that is completely reliant on robot waiters. But yeah, I don't know if Dirty Dan is still in here, or if they were so turned off by my defense of this, but I wasn't even really trying to defend Waymo or self-driving cars. I was just trying to say, like, this technology is being developed. It's showing at least some signs of promise. And if it continues to show signs of promise, it will be more widely adopted. If they continue to work out the bugs in it and make it, you are okay, cool. So yeah, we can watch more of this thing if you want to, but to me, it looked like it was handling lane changes really well. It looked like it was keeping up with the pace of traffic. Um, it seemed like it parallel parked all right. It didn't have to do much parallel parking, to be fair, but it pulled up nice and close to the curb, didn't hit anything. Was able to get back out of there pretty quick. Was able to do lane changes, turns, indicate, stuff like that. And like if it can get people to and fro, from the airport or from a bus stop to a neighborhood or from a neighborhood to another, like to a city center or whatever, if it can do the basic things that people typically need from a taxi, like, yeah, I think there's a good chance that it ends up getting adopted. Um, I don't know that that's a good thing, but I think we need to be prepared for it. And I do think that we need to be advocating more for the preservation of these jobs in ways like if this technology is here to stay and it continues to be adopted, as I believe it will be, then I think we need to really lean into the human angle when it comes to these jobs existing side by side along their AI competitors or whatever. I think that there will eventually be a future where there are, like, 20 AI taxis that cycle throughout an airport all day and all night, and then like 20 human taxis that cycle through that same airport and shit. Because some people are tourists from other places that want to get like a sense of the local spot and all that, and some of them are just people on business that just want to get back and forth from where they need to go, and they don't really care. A lot of people going to get smooshed. Well, to be fair, though, that same thing happened when vehicles were adopted in general. And it's one of the many reasons why we need to get better about developing better and more active pedestrian infrastructure. Because, like, here's something that like not enough people talk about. Technology has gotten to the point where it would not be difficult for Waymo to incorporate technology into their cars that could recognize like smart roads, smart crossings, etc. Basically, you could have pretty simple technology that creates a link between like the traffic system of the city and all of its automated cars. It knows when a red light is happening before the fucking yellow light happens. It knows when a green light is happening before it's switched off of it. And it knows like where all the intersections are as a matter of programming. It knows when exactly they're changing as a matter of communication with these signals. This could be implemented with pretty fucking simple technology and if standardized at a federal level. And, I'm not saying every city would have to have it, but it would give you like the option to make things a lot safer. And um, I just think it would be cool, but I don't know. I've got a futurist vision that I share with very few leftists. So it is what it is. Camera plays live music at least. Hatsune Miku doesn't count. I was at a metal show last night. Can't replicate the bruises for the mosh pit I'm feeling. Yeah, that's true. I think live music, live performance of all kinds is going to stick around for a long time. Waitresses in certain jobs, I think, will be around for a long time. Bus drivers, taxis. I think a lot of these jobs too will exist side by side with like either AI tools and helpers and shit, or AI competitors, effectively. Maybe not, and I feel like we overuse the term AI around here when we're talking about this. A lot of what we're talking about is automation, so we need to understand that these are interlinked concepts, but they are distinct. This may sound a little millennial boomer, but automation always just means more moving parts to break. What happens when the transponder breaks? Well, it would still have all of its onboard technology with the cameras and sensors and stuff like that. So it would still be able to read the traffic. It would have to be able to respond to the cars and stuff like that, and to provide it some redundancy, right? Like, the corollary to that is that redundancy exists, and airplanes are an example of an incredibly high tech machine that is designed with so much redundancy because it's so high tech that if you allowed any one part of it to be subject to sudden failure, then the whole system could collapse if it were not for these multiple paths of redundancy. Plus, I would hope I would hope that they applied a little creative engineering if they were to implement something like this. And I would hope that replacing the transponder would be as easy as like opening up a little box on one of the stoplight posts and reaching in there and pulling out one little relay and then putting in that, replacement, and then it's fixed. Like, that would be ideal. Technology like that exists right now. I mean, that's the fucking thing. Manufacturing has gotten so high tech and we've gotten so good at making things, and it's so widespread now that there really are simple, cheap answers to these questions. And we could be a lot more advanced society than we are. That's all I'm saying. I don't want taxi drivers to be replaced by AI or by automation. I don't want anybody to be replaced by that. But what I would like is a world wherein people are given a food stipend, guaranteed housing that they can pass to their kids, that is inheritable from their parents or whatever. And if they want to move, they can go on a wait list for the place that they want to go to, or they could just move there if it's vacant already. And I think that people should be like able to get like a UBI in addition to the universal health care we've always talked about. I think that with this automation needs to come a commensurate uplift in the living conditions and standards of the working class. And if it doesn't, then it's bullshit. And it sucks. But while it's still nascent, while our advocacy still matters, I want to be on the side that's saying, okay, if you want to automate, then let's start paying the human taxi drivers that are still going to be left. Start paying them more. Let's introduce a UBI. Let's start really fucking valuing what human beings are going to be left in the marketplace. And let's start fucking enjoying some of the benefits of this effectively free labor that we've created. Theory: USA pushing AI/automation so much to get rid of pleb jobs to fill factories, jobs lost overseas becoming producer powerhouse again. Um, I would agree with that if it were still being directed so hardcore at factories. There is a lot of automation in factories still, but honestly, factories in Mexico have been doing better at that over the last 10 years. Factories in Japan have always been at the forefront of it. Factories in China are at the forefront of it. There's lots of automation in factories and not as much automation in ours. I've worked in a factory in the last 5 years. That's how I know. But even there, we did have some robots, and there was more kind of automation plans for the future. But I think that right now it seems like a lot of the intention behind this development is not concerted mission. It doesn't seem like it's all about like profit in terms of like generating hype off of the idea of what these companies are going to be capable of and the possibility of eventually saving millions of dollars in labor costs by replacing employees that have to be paid and you have to pay people to deal with them and all this infrastructure and upkeep with robots who can do a lot of the same stuff without nearly as much overwatch and oversight. But yeah, basically, like the incentives right now are pushing them in America, at least, to automate a lot of service jobs and stuff like that, because that's where our economy has been at for the last 20 years. So they want to find robots that can replace delivery drivers. They want to find robots that can replace taxi drivers and bus drivers. They want to find robots that can replace cashiers. They can replace, yes, factory workers, but they're not even focusing on that as heavily as they used to. I mean, like, unironically, they're even trying to replace cops. I mean, even police departments are participating in the, um, you know, the automation of the world. Of course, now cops are doing it because they have the unique position of being usually represented by incredibly powerful police unions. And of course, those unions are going to guarantee that for every bit of automation introduced to the force, there's still a cop behind it to enforce the action or whatever. It's fucking absurd. It's fucking absurd. But think about the amount of power that American working class people would have if we were unionized to the degree American police are, and we could demand that same thing. Like, okay, you want to automate our jobs? Okay, well, if you're gonna do that, then you either need to pay us to like watch over the system, pay us to do a different job in the factory and increase production, or you can pay us to stay home. Like, eventually it's going to start making sense to do contracts like that just to keep, like, population centers going. I don't know. I'm of two minds about this. Because the problem is I'm not, like, a psychic, so I don't actually know the minds of the oligarchy. But I'm of two minds about this. Either they are slowly realizing that they're running up against the limits of capitalism's excesses, of its worst successes, and they are going to start making adjustments like UBI, universal healthcare, stuff like that, to kind of help the system limp along and, you know, prolong class conflict basically, but put it off a little bit. Or they just want to kill us all and they don't really care. And that basically is the difference between them eventually starting to agree to union contracts where they're just paying big chunks of their workforce to essentially stay home and like be on call if they need to come in or something, or like paying their workforce to train as mechanics on the new automated stuff or whatever. Like, it's the difference between them doing that and them just automating the fuck out of the factory and firing everybody sight unseen. Let what you know, let the fucking cards fall where they may. Musk mentioned before UBI is basically down pipeline. Any worth that is? I mean, yeah. Well, Elon Musk is a moron, but I think that even he is capable of seeing the limits of how far this can go. But he's not the only billionaire that's been talking about it either. Fucking Bill Gates has talked about that before. Andrew Yang, I think, is a billionaire. I don't know if he is. I know he's a millionaire at least. And Andrew Yang has obviously talked a ton about UBI. There's this pretty famous billionaire who's like a big proponent of it. I can't think of his name. But yeah, like, honestly, support for UBI is not that uncommon amongst some chunks of the fucking top 1% at this point. But the question always eventually comes back to, how do you fund it? How do you make the system work? How do you keep it going? So, you'll hear these like half-hearted or sometimes full-hearted messages of support out of these millionaire types, but if it comes right down to funding it, well, they're necessarily not gonna call for their own bank accounts to be affected in any way in pursuit of that money, and that's the wall that they all run up against. Well, most of them. But that's ultimately the wall that the system runs up against. The bunkers in New Zealand make me think it's the latter. Yeah, that's another thing that makes me worry too, is the fact that if they wanted to keep us around long term, and they believed in the American experiment long term, what's with the camps? For why? For why though? You know? That's all I want to know. Anyway, I guess I should probably get off here soon. Enjoy some me time. My incense has burned out. Still got a little left in the bowl. I'm hungry. Phoebe, I was talking about this in Paul's chat, but I will leave the question here. What is your opinion? On what? On what? On what? You must ask me on what? On what? On what? You must clarify on what? Nehemiah Denzel Curry scolded the pit for pushing forward too hard. Hell yeah. Metal AF, bro. That sounds metal to me. Should we just allow the EU to take care of themselves and use what would be used on aid packages like Israel, Ukraine for the American citizens? Well, Israel is not a part of the EU, number one, as far as I know. And as far as leaving the EU to themselves, I don't really think so. I like the idea that we've got like a little interdependency going with Europe. I think it's a good thing to keep up, but um, I don't know. I kind of do think that we should stop putting good money after bad when it comes to Ukraine, and just go ahead and work out some kind of fucking settlement there, so that we can like move past that as like a planet, maybe. But they ain't asking me. So, as far as helping them out, aid, stuff like that. I mean, for the most part, Europe does fine, and it's mostly like weapons and stuff we help them out with. But I guess I'm fine with that if it's not at the expense of the American taxpayer who is like losing out in things that their government could be doing for them. So yeah, I guess I would be in favor of like deprioritizing those things in terms of like getting our homelessness problem under control first and providing universal health care to citizens. But at that point, well, not just to citizens, but to everybody, like the people living in America, and people visiting too. But if we could get that figured out and then, like, that'd be fine. Oh. Well, being the world police, we are always going to be shit on, so what are we getting out of it? Well, I don't really think we're being the world police by helping Europe maintain its own sovereignty and control over its own borders and stuff like that, and giving it a little bit of backbone to the things it tries and does and shit. Like, ultimately, Europe is not, as near as I can tell, trying to be like a fucking imperial power at this point, the way America is. And I really don't feel like our participation in helping to make sure they remain solvent and defended, I don't think that that's a bad thing. I don't think that it constitutes us being the world police. I think that us intervening in Iran is an example of us being the world police. Phoebe streams are stretching farther into the morning. Well, I'm trying to pull an all nighter tonight so that I can like stay up all day tomorrow and then maybe like try and get my ass back on somewhat of a normal sleep schedule. Why does YouTube do this to me? Nowhere else does the word show up twice for me. Real, yeah. I don't know why YouTube does that shit. That she. Time is a very strange thing, y'all. I'll tell you that much right now. Europe ain't our problem. They drive on the opposite side of the road and have yet to land on the moon. 0 Super Bowls. Pathetic. So much for expanding the American empire, Joey. So wait, we can't have like bases in Europe and troops stationed out there and send them weapons and shit, but we can have Cuba? Square that circle for me, Joey. They actually want it. Europe actually they fucking want our asses. They actually want us. And they're, not like a failed state, you know? Like Germany builds shit at the very least. Did you see the other song I sent you, Lions Roar by First Aid Kit? Not yet, but I will check that out. Thank you, Margot, for the $5. I appreciate that a ton. And I will check that song out a little bit later. Cubans have cigars. I enjoy cigars. Not enough, man. Not enough. They, tell you what, if they can get at least 3 semiconductor factories, I'll consider it. If the Cuban government can pull 3 semiconductor factories out of its ass, we'll talk, all right? I just don't understand why I had to suffer and export our suffering through our tax dollars for our government, getting them out of conflicts we had no business being in. Well, speaking long term, the reason why we do it is because before the modern paradigm, the reason why empires were able to get so big and so dominant was because effectively no one pushed back against them. And it was pretty much the modern paradigm that established the 3 big empires on the planet. And I feel like it's kind of a weird situation because between America, Russia, and China, I do think that America is the preferable of the 3. Not just because I live here, it genuinely does seem to be that way. Based on people I've talked to who live in China and Russia, seems like we're the, better of 3 evils, I guess. And insofar as that's true, I feel like if you're trying to look at it through like the realpolitik lens of what do we need to do to ensure stability in the world, then the best thing we can do is hold on to where we have some kind of codependency and continue to make that a more equitable relationship. Because if you don't, I mean, maybe Russia just takes Ukraine and they're fine with that. But what if Russia decides they want Poland? What if what if Russia gets Ukraine and Poland, and then they decide they want Germany or Austria or Luxembourg? Exactly how far are we supposed to allow Greater Russia to go? If is it literally just might makes right? Like we can't, to engage in violence in order to prevent such an outcome would be to defy our morals. So we have to agree that basically that might makes right, and that whoever wins out in that conflict is just. No, I don't agree with that. So I feel like we should be exhausting every diplomatic option to end the bloodshed in Ukraine, and that might end up involving accepting a land deal the Ukrainians are not particularly fond of. But I also think that it's a good idea for us to try and keep things at one solid place when that happens. I think that whatever deal happens needs to leave Ukraine in a position to join NATO. And I think that us being able to set that would be to the benefit of pretty much everyone in Europe, everyone in Ukraine. I feel the only thing at the end of that is imperialism, and it only takes someone like Trump, or maybe next time it's worse. Well, I just feel like imperialism is kind of like the way by which the world is organized right now, and I hate that, and I do want that to end. But it's not going to end because you let some other country fucking engage in more of it, you know? And also, another reason why, like we use, I think, imperialism in very broad strokes sometimes. I think it might be a form of imperialism to engage in the kind of codependencies we've engaged with a lot of Europe with, for example. But, like, isn't it kind of good imperialism at that point? Like, maybe we need a different term for it or something, because I don't think most of Europe regrets their participation in the Marshall Plan. Should they not fight on their own merits? I mean, no, not really. No. Not if history is to be Not if history is to be used of any measure of their merits, no. No, see, because I don't want fucking Europe to evolve it. Here, you know what, Matt? Honestly, I don't know, man. I feel like you need to. Man, I don't want this to sound mean. Okay, so, genuinely, interesting idea you might want to look into. Look into World War II history and World War One, and look into why America ended up getting involved in those conflicts in the first place. It's not like there is like even back then, even 120 years ago, just staying out of it wasn't an option. But now it's definitely not an option. Back then, the world was already so global that American cruise ships and fucking cargo ships and shit were being attacked and um, you know targeted and shit by the Nazis and the Japanese. And before Pearl Harbor ever happened, and America stayed out because we were really trying our best to recover domestically and stuff like that. And like eventually we started ramping up, and then Pearl Harbor happened, and that gave us the impetus to finally launch our own foray into the conflict. But I would argue that a lot of that happened because a war broke out in Europe that destabilized enough of the world to create an international conflict across the entire globe, so a global conflict that ended up affecting America, even though we weren't one of the involved parties. We were not one of the parties to the conduct that led to any of these conflicts. It wasn't our fault. We weren't even fucking involved. We were made to be involved because the conflict spilled over. The reason people shit on America isn't because we involve ourselves in other countries, Matt. It's because we've been involving ourselves in other countries to the detriment of those countries since the 90s. Well, really, since like the 80s or the 70s, but, well, maybe since the 60s. Yeah, I guess since the 60s. I would say since the 60s, we've been involving ourselves in other countries in increasingly less good ways, in increasingly worse ways. And so, yeah, eventually, after a certain point, people are going to start to think America bad. But America would stop having that reputation if instead of bombing Iran, we were normalizing relations with them, helping them to rebuild their water infrastructure, helping them to make themselves a more functional state again. Vance being Catholic gives me a better chance to have an American Pope tour after Trump. Definitely selfish there. That's funny. You are being a little bit selfish there, Joey, but I can't blame you. Honestly, I'm not Catholic, but if the American Pope came to America, I'm definitely fucking going to wherever the nearest place he comes to is. I'm fucking going. I'm gonna be there. Call me a papist, but I'm gonna be there. The CIA got involved in Italy in 42. The first action was to quell a socialist movement. Might have been 52. I'm not sure, but yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, I'm not saying America tends to be the good guys. I'm just saying I think we could be. I think we have been a few times, and I think we could be again. I know that I'm the last American with vision, but still. Dude, I'm stoned as shit. Man, what's going on here? Oh man, America has a big chip on its shoulder. I've been it, and I think you are being it right now. I've been it, and why does it always have to be us? This thing that someone needs to help, even if we make it worse, and it has to be us. Only America can help. I'm not saying that, man. Fuck, dude. I'm like trying to be real about this shit. I'm trying to like analyze it pragmatically and realize that for better or for worse, like Europe has not done well without America's involvement. Not since America's been around, you know, and not frankly since before that. But America, for all of its faults, maintains pretty good internal consistency, despite the amount of land that we contain. That's, I think, why that maybe that's one of the reasons why that comes up and why that mentality is common is because like on some level I think a lot of Americans realize like man there's lots of places where this much land has not been held under this consistent like a united kind of thing for so long. But what do I know? The Lion King singing translating, "Here comes a lion, father." Oh yes, it's a lion. That's funny. Oh, that's great. I love that. That's actually genuinely funny. It's just a song about a lion. It's just a tiny little like exchange about a lion. That is great. Something crazy to realize is after World War II, we could have owned so much of Europe, Greenland, yet we let folks keep their land. That's truly unique in world history. I know. I totally agree, Joey. I totally agree. And maybe makes me sound like a fucking boomer or whatever, but yeah, and I think that that's one of the things, you know, Matt Blank's accusing me of perpetuating the American World Police thing, and I really don't think I am. I think I'm just like perpetuating this idea that America is somewhat unique on the world stage. We're the first country to codify separation of church and state in its Constitution and in many of the writings of our founding fathers and their letters and their treaties with other places, etc. Um, Not to mention the Constitution and the First Amendment. We're also, I think, unique in that we had the unique opportunity in World War II to like we could have just taken over Europe, and and they might have let us. They might have had to have let us. Like especially if we just done things the right way, they might have been forced to let us. We very easily could have. We were the only fucking force. We were the only fucking people involved in World War II who did not see our production capacity demolished and destroyed, pretty much, or massively impacted by the war. Pretty much every other country involved did. The Soviet Union was, I guess, the second runner-up, and maybe Britain would be the third. But tons of France got wiped out. Tons of Germany got wiped out. Tons of the productive potential in these places got wiped out. Tons of Western Russia and Ukraine, Poland, Austria, tons of these places got wiped out. Tons of Italy. Like, there's just tons of production that just got fucking obliterated in this war, in the two wars that happened. And by the end of those conflicts, we very easily could have just taken over wholesale, whole cloth. We didn't. We let them maintain home rule. Many of them with very little in ways of, like, Germany ultimately and Italy, I guess, were the two countries to come out the most changed from World War II and the events before and after. But like the UK had the same kind of government before World War II that it has today, more or less. France, like a little bit different, Charles de Gaulle and all that, but still. Like the pre-World War II France is not that fucking different from modern France in terms of how their government works. The previous message has fun personal background. Oh, okay. Let's see here. Previous comment has fun personal background. It does? Well, share it with us because I'm not seeing it. Oh, the message before that. The American branch of my family started by POWs who hated but fought under Mussolini, immigrated to USA immediately after being released. Nice. So they're like, we don't agree with the administration, we hate this shit, but we're, like, we're gonna do our duty anyway. Hey, I guess I can't blame them. There's lots of people that end up in wars like that, and it sucks. It's one of the things that sucks most about big armed conflicts like that is just how many people get involved in them that would have never been involved in them. Can we take care of our own shit before worrying about other people's shit? How can we help others if we can't help ourselves? Well, the reason we can't help ourselves isn't because we're spending too much on Europe. The reason why we can't help ourselves is because we don't want to fucking stop spending so much on the military-industrial complex, most of that spending does not go towards outfitting Israel or the fucking Europe or anything. Well, maybe a lot of it does go to outfitting Israel, but we both agree we need to fucking pull out of Israel. We both agree there. But a lot of the military industrial complex is used for shit that America keeps and that we don't sell to other countries. That's not for other countries. That's just for us. The only benefit is us ostensibly, but there's no real benefit because we don't have an active enemy and all that shit. We need to break up the military industrial complex. We need to nationalize a lot of this shit. We need to take the savings and put that towards helping the American people. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. I feel like a fat sage. Ow. Yeah, I think we should have at least kept Greenland at least, but definitely Europe doing their thing. We wouldn't have to have awkward combos now. Man, I'm an island in a sea of fucking. I don't even know what to call you guys. Degenerates. I'm kidding. Um, I don't know. After that conversation I had with Paul, the conversation I'm having with you guys tonight, I'm realizing that there are some parts of my philosophy that are still, I don't know, kind of anachronistic, I guess, for lack of a better word. Like, I still genuinely believe in the unique American ideal and like this idea that we are kind of a unique country that deserves to be preserved and improved upon and made better and to persist. That we represent something never before seen. That idea, I get it, is kind of anachronistic. It's certainly not something you usually hear out of the left. Maybe the improve upon it angle, but you know. And then there's this stuff with the relationship I think we should have with Europe, where I'm like, nah, let's just keep funding them. It doesn't seem like they do all that well without American military bases in their midst. Think about it. Before World War II, no military bases, two world wars, endless fucking tribal conflicts between Germans and Frenchmen and fucking Spaniards and all this bullshit. Post World War II, lots of American military bases. No world wars. No big fucking stupid tribal conflicts between fucking Frenchies and Krauts and fucking, you know, all these fucking different groups. We fucking put the kibosh on that shit. You know how we put the kibosh on that shit? Military bases. Persistent troop deployments. That's how we did it. That's how we enforced the Pax Americana. And I think that we should continue to enforce the Pax Americana. Call me Kissinger. It just doesn't seem like they did very well beforehand. You can call me a degenerate. I'm a terminally online Final Fantasy 14 gooner with only a moderate amount of shame. Fair enough, Nambot. I love that description, by the way. Thank you for $5. I appreciate that a ton. This is that American chip on the shoulder talking. What am I supposed to do? I'm a product of my environment, if nothing else. I think it's fine. I think it's perfectly fine. In fact, Matt, I think you're the weirdo. Yeah. Pretty sure you're the weirdo. America gave Vietnam 50 years of birth defects and made them pay billions for the privilege. Yeah, we sure enough did. That was pretty fucked up. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie to you, Chief. That was pretty fucked up, what we did there. God bless America. We exist on spite, coffee, and freedom. Do we? Do we know? Do we truly? I don't know about that. I just don't know. We out here jorking in a Waymos in the freeway. Yeah, dude. I heard about that story earlier, and that's just fucking crazy, dude. Joey was talking about that shit, and my mind is still blown. I tell you what, life is stranger than fiction. Because when I was a kid, we weren't talking about no Waymos. We weren't talking about no robotic taxis, no robo cars, no auto drive. Autopilot was something that pilots used up in the sky to get them from place to place, help fly the plane. Oh. Like, look at the Scandinavian countries. They're paradise, but they're only allowed to be that way because they're protected. Why can't America have that? Why do we have to protect and suffer? Matt, what don't you get about what I keep saying, though? Why do you keep acting like it's like an either or thing? It's not an either or thing. We can break up the military industrial complex, tax the billionaires and the corporations they own and control, and get the same things they have. We can do that. And we can protect them too. Not only that, but more importantly, if we don't protect them, then once again, like, if we're not cozying up to them, some other world power is going to fucking cozy up to them. I don't know. Maybe I fucking. I don't know. I guess it feels a little bit Kissinger-y to say, but, like, I feel like if we aren't there, then Europe is just going to become its own kind of, like, power block, and it's probably going to feature a lot of internal turmoil and shit. I also worry about it being possibly taken over or um, ruled from afar by China or Russia. And I just feel like it's better that we have a good relationship with them that allows both regions of the world to enjoy the maximum of freedom, um, possible under the current paradigm than it would be to allow those countries to fall to worse conditions. Mm-mm. Well, let me know when that happens. Well, we're not gonna fucking pull up out of Europe either, so let me know when that happens. I don't know, man. Let me know when that fucking happens. We're not gonna end up pulling out of Europe either. We're not gonna drop that codependency. What? Because you think Trump wants to? He doesn't want to. He can't decide if he wants to or not. The old man isn't done getting flattered by Merce yet or whatever. The world was run by a global order of liberal interventionism since the end of World War II. Trump destroyed it. It's done, over, gone. Well, here's how I feel about it. Isolationism has never worked. Conquest is immoral. So we gonna have to find some other fucking way to go about dealing with other countries. Something will evolve to take the place of the neoliberal interventionist order destroyed by Donald Trump. And I am an advocate for whatever that turns out to be. The fact no one supports us and Iran is proof of the end. Well, I can't disagree with you. I wonder what comes next. That's all. The only thing I see in our future is constant conflict. I can't help but feel that way, because that's how it's been since our birth. The only thing ahead is constant grinding conflict. Man, what a hopeful message you've got, Matt. Wee! Russia needs to be stopped. I don't particularly want just Americans doing that. Well, me neither. I do want fucking Europe more participatory in their own defense, but that's a different fucking thing from pulling out of there entirely, Oh. But yes, I too would like to see Europe be more participatory in their own defense. For my part, it's just because I want to see what cool military vehicles they'll build. And that's the only reason I care. It's like, like I want to see like what could a French tank really look like if they had to put their all into it. At me supporting the rearmament of Europe, not for any of the geopolitical reasons, but because I think they'll make cool tanks again. Phoebes, I think I'm gonna have to jet. I just saw the time and I work in 3 hours. Good morning, I guess. Well, good morning, Margot. I hope you have a good day at work, and I'm sorry that I kept you up all night. I pull the drawers. Yeah, War Thunder / World of Tanks be lacking in new content. Exactly, Joey. Finally, someone understands me. We need some new content that isn't just like copies and slight edits of American and German vehicles. Okay. Okay. And like Russian vehicles and Chinese vehicles. We will try and take Cuba. It will be like Ireland. I don't know why we want that. It'll be like Ireland. What do you mean it'll be like Ireland? Oh, yeah, never mind. Now I get it. Yeah, you're right. It will be like we have an American Ireland now. That's funny. Go on home, U.S. Go on home, U.S. soldiers. Go on home. Have you got no bloody homes of your own? For 800 years we fought you without fear, and we'll fight you for 800 more. We started fighting with you in the 1960s, and we were still fighting in the 2060s. We'll always be a fighting. We'll always be a fighting till we own our land and writing. We want to see our people free once more. We all want to be free once more. Go on home, U.S. soldiers, go on home. Have you got no bloody homes of your own? Oh no, if we're doing an American rewrite, bloody has to be replaced with fucking. Go on home, U.S. soldiers, go on home. Have you got no fucking homes of your own? For 800 years we fought you without fear, and we'll fight you for 800 more. They've been fighting since a guy named Columbus, and we fought even after you killed the best of us. But there's no need for that. We want our country back. We want to see Cuba free once more. Might take 20 years, but Cubans yearn for freedom. The Spanish owned them for a few hundred years. They freed themselves from the Spanish as well. Let's see. As an avid aviator fan, I'm laughing my ass off. Dogfighting is back in the form of drones. Is that true? Do drones dogfight sometimes? Is that actually true? That's fucking crazy if so. I've thought for a long time that one of the hidden solutions to drone warfare might be counter drone warfare in the form of drones that are like little miniaturized fighter jets, you know? That's what I think about all the time is that the smaller something is and the less weight you can pack into, like, if you can get to this perfect place with size versus weight and complexity and all that, then you can pack an incredibly complex and deadly thing that can also travel very quickly and loiter if needed, and hover even if needed, into a pretty small and adaptable frame. And I just wonder how long it is before we start to see that kind of thing. And before we start to see like these VTOL drones that can like dart around the sky, hunting down other drones. Never seen dogfighting drones. That's crazy. It's nerds battling in bunkers. It is, Dirty Dan, but ain't that better than those same nerds battling it out in trenches? It's the same dorks, just getting repurposed to a different task. Anyway, I think I'm going to go ahead and go. But I saw a video of Ukraine covered in fiber optic cables. They say it's an environmental disaster and cleanup will take years. Well, that's another problem I see with these drones. Like, the biggest problem, for at least from my perspective, seems to be that in order to get like this really high degree of accuracy and all that with these FPV drones, basically the only way to do it with incredibly low latency is those massive fiber optic cables that lay out for miles and miles and miles and miles and miles. And um, I just wonder, how like that's going to take a ton to clean up. I already know it. It's probably pretty difficult to recycle. A lot of it's probably not going to be able to be cleaned up for years, maybe. And I also wonder, like, how sustainable is that? That can't be that fucking sustainable in terms of like being able to just do it forever. So I feel like a technology upgrade is due here in the next 5 years when it comes to piloting drones. I mean, America's already got this technology down. America has drones, like attack and kill drones that we can like fly from an airbase in fucking we can take off from Whitman Air Force Base and fly out to the Middle East, drop bombs there, or you know destroy target there and then fly back. Or I'm pretty sure the U.S. probably has sacrificial drones at this point that can be flown FPV, just used in some kind of overall network. What I imagine is that technology is an like incredibly expensive thing. Like you're basically talking about having like a live streaming transponder or something like that that can communicate with satellites or cell towers or something and provide a consistent live feed. And I have to imagine that's a lot more expensive than the fiber optic thing. But for how long? Ow. Hmm. From my understanding, it's not the glass type of fiber, it's plastic. An entire country covered in wispy, thin optic plastic, animals getting trapped in it, birds making nests with it. It's going to be buried in the farming soil. And you think microplastics are bad now? Just wait. Just wait until all the fiber optic cables end up in the food supply. It's crazy to think about. My opinion, Belarus involvement will spike up a cover to draw down for an early next summer finish to war. I doubt this year. Maybe. Yeah, I would love to see an end to the conflict, I'll tell you that much. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and go. Thank you guys for hanging out. I appreciate it a ton. Massive long stream tonight. Thank you guys for doing that. I will see y'all later. Peace.